Earlier in the show, we told you about a group of people who are busy keeping a part of their culture alive. Well, right now, we'd like for you to meet a man who's doing his share in keeping a part of history alive, a part of history that's a Parker Ranch tradition. A day at the rodeo always makes for an exciting afternoon. From racing to roping, the rodeo is a fun, sporting way to illustrate just how the cowboy lives his life on the ranch. But tonight's story doesn't deal with the sport itself, but instead a piece of hardware that next to his horse is the cowboy's most important tool. Up in the cool country of Parker Ranch, where the Paneolos here work these lands every day, not only is it important the cowboy feel comfortable with his horse, but it's also important that he feel comfortable with his saddle. And for this historical Big Island ranch, saddle making is a tradition that's being kept alive by the talents of Frank Hess.
I thought saddles was, stock saddles like you see in the cowboy movies. I never even knew that there was anything like a Hawaiian saddle until I started working on Parker Ranch.
That was back in March of 1979 when Frank landed his first job as saddle maker for Parker Ranch. To begin, Frank first selects what's called a saddle tree. There are 4 basic parts to this: the rigging, the pommel, bars, and the cantle. Frank had already covered the tree with the dried leather pieces and is now ready to move on. He finds other pieces of leather for all the side sections and begins to cut out what he needs, making sure all cuts are smooth.
When you cut the leather with a knife, you want all the edges to be beveled, to be smooth as much as possible, because you don't want any rough portion to be against the horse.
The saddle maker's work is done by hand, and for the most part, that's just how Frank likes it.
Well, for a Hawaiian saddle, it's the tools and the table we have in here. Everything is, pretty much it's simplified. But for the basic Hawaiian saddle that our cowboys use, you don't really need too many machines. Well, I had 2 months to learn how to do everything, and saddle maker before me, Carl Horier, I was glad that I had a very good teacher, and like a lot of the patents that you see to cut out all of this stuff, he left a lot of the things for me. So, in that 2 months, and being interested in the craft, I was able to, pick it up pretty quickly with his instruction, and it worked out pretty good.
Frank is the 5th such craftsman Parker Ranch has had in all its years. His job is to supply the Paneolos with their saddles, and as with any piece of art, his stamp is his personal signature.
Every saddle maker has his own different stamp that goes in the middle portion of the half moon, and I have my star stamp. Saddle maker before me had a flower stamp, but the basic design has been around for a long time. As you take pride in what you do, and you want to give the cowboy something that he'll be proud of, something that he'll take care of. And Parker Ranch cowboys have pride in their saddles and the equipment.
After all sections are cut out, assembly then takes place around and over the tree. This saddle, by the way, is referred to as a Hawaiian saddle. Its basic design has been passed on for many years.
Yeah, it's been brought by the Spaniards and Mexicans that taught the cowboys how to work cattle and stuff like that. And the style may differ from island to island, but basically the Hawaiian saddles are the same. With proper maintenance, I'd say you got a good 20 years or more with proper maintenance. I've seen saddles made, like 35, 40 years ago, and the leather is in still good condition.
No nails or rivets whatsoever are being used in this assembly. Everything's being held together by these decorative leather locks. Frank says that's because, should it be necessary, field maintenance could be done fairly easily. The saddle can be disassembled in about 2 minutes. And that's just how things used to be, and that's just how Frank wants to keep it. He feels privileged to have the knowledge.
Making Hawaiian saddle trees and stuff like that, it's a dying art, and I was proud that I was taught, how to make this, and I expect to teach it to my son, and I feel proud in myself that I'm able to build saddles, especially for a ranch like Parker Ranch.